Huff, good morning. How we doing?
I am doing well, Damon. How are you?
Good. Any part of the announcement today that Jay Gruden got fired surprise you?
Well, I mean, when your phone rings at 6 a.m., that's never really expected, but I guess beyond the timing of it, not really. I mean, this is an 0-5 football team. This is a franchise that feels like it's kind of teetering out of control, even beyond their regular standard teetering out of controlness. And it felt like it was time for that something had to happen, and this was building, and thus it did.
Do you believe the theory that the organization leaked the videos of Jay Gruden themselves to grease the skids in firing him?
I don't. I mean, look, they've done some shady stuff in the past that it would, like, if it was presented to me that was true, that there was evidence that was true, then I would not be like, there's just no way. But at the same time, like that, you know, let me put it this way. If I'm Bruce Allen and Dan Snyder, videos of someone partying are not the thing that I'm going to be using as blackmail. That seems like a bad idea. Those guys can also drink with the best of them, and that's kind of as far as I want to go with that.
Wait, what do you mean those guys can drink with the best of them?
There is a propensity in the Redskins universe for frosty beverages, Damon. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so you're saying that they wouldn't hold that against Jay Gruden? Yeah.
I mean, look, well, those videos are great. Are they a good look? Nope. But Jay's an adult. He can do as he pleases. And I unless that was the night before a game or like 2 a.m. before they have practice the next day, I don't think it's something that they can use. And also, like, why? Like, fans don't like the coach. He was 0-4 at the time the videos came out. They didn't really need extra video evidence to push things over the edge.
Right. Craig Hoffman joins us from 106.7 The Fan in D.C. upon the Jay Gruden firing earlier this morning. Let me ask this. Was there any worry, you think, that they didn't want him to go up against the Dolphins, get an easy victory, and gain some momentum, easier to fire him before a potential win over Miami?
Yeah, I think that there's some definite validity to that and the timing. I don't know if, I doubt, let's say, Bruce Allen will admit that when we talk to him at 1 o'clock today. But at the same time, I think it's also, you look at it from the other side of it, which is you let the new coach, in this case, interim coach Bill Callahan, come in, hopefully get a victory and build a little confidence. I mean, they're still trying to win football games, which is obviously a stupid thing to do when you're now obviously out of the playoffs, have no chance, and should be trying to lose for a draft pick. But, NFL teams don't tank. Players in that locker room are still going to go to work every day and give their best effort. And so as long as they're trying to do that and conduct themselves in as professional of a manner as they can, I do think that it's smart to allow them to go have that soft landing spot in Miami. I think also if you want to make the change to Dwayne Haskins, that's obviously easiest to do, to give him a JV game, if you will, against the Dolphins. But obviously it does make it harder to fire a coach after a win. And it seemed like, Jay could have had a much better chance against Miami than everyone circling New England on the calendars the day he was going to get fired for quite a while.
One of the most emotional moments of the NFL weekend, one of the most stirring moments, I think, of the NFL season so far was Chris Thompson's impassioned, tearful defense and protection of Jay Gruden when asked about his job security yesterday. Thompson obviously loves the guy. Is there a lot of guys in that locker room that love Jay Gruden, or was Thompson a bit of a loner in this?
No, I wouldn't call him a loner. I'll give a little background about that too, because that has clearly impacted people and made, it's kind of cut through amidst all of this. And, Chris was drafted in 2013 by Mike Shanahan, and in 2014, Gruden cut him and brought him back on the practice squad and basically told him, trust me, I like you a lot. You're going to be a big part of this football team, but this is the path for right now. Chris wound up, coming back at the end of that year onto the active roster, making a couple plays, makes the team in 2015, and basically from then on was a huge, huge part of what they did offensively. And I'm sure many people listening who had him on fantasy teams now and again, in PPR leagues where he winds up with 8 catches for 90 yards in garbage time or whatever, or just in general, the times they have won games, he has been a large, large part of it. So Chris feels like he owes his career to Jay, and that goes to that emotion. And also, Chris is just an emotional guy. But in terms of the locker room as a whole, I think over Jay's tenure, he has been generally well-liked. I think there are times that people have scratch their heads and go, I don't know about that one, but I still like him. And, players always played for him until this year. This year's been a little bit different. When he benched Adrian Peterson, even though, look, AP's averaging like 2.7 yards a carry. It's really hard to go back on that decision and go, yeah, that was a terrible job by Jay Gruden outside of the human element of it. And that's the thing that I think Jay missed in that moment, is that he was benching a guy that was really respected in the locker room and is a future Hall of Famer, and that turned some people off. Obviously, Adrian was upset by it, although he's handled it as well as you possibly can publicly. But there were other veterans in that locker room. Morgan Moses came on our station and said it was a slap in the face. And I think Morgan genuinely likes Jay. So there's certainly guys around that locker room that did not take that well. And there are guys that have not been impressed by Jay. And obviously that plays a factor in ultimately dismissing him.
So final question is going to be, is any part of this firing tied into how humiliating it was yesterday that Patriots fans had dominated the field and it made it sound like it was Gillette Stadium, that there's such apathy and sadness and frustration and whatever around this organization for so long that they're basically playing road games at their home stadium?
I think it has something to do with it in this way. Dan Snyder is fed up, and he is an emotional person who is like an irrational fan. Dan is not a football expert. I know that's breaking news to everybody, but he is basically, think of like the craziest fan the most irrational fan that's Dan Snyder, and he happens to own the team. And so to kind of counterbalance that, you have Bruce Allen, who is generally emotionless, and at some point Dan's emotion and get him out of here kind of thought process was going to boil over. And yesterday it obviously did, and it got to a point where Bruce either couldn't talk him out of it, or Bruce agreed that it was just time to move on. And either way, the result is the same. Jay is out, and the Redskins are going to be looking for a coach.
Follow Craig Hoffman for the latest on the Jay Gruden firing, what happens next with the Washington dysfunctional organization. At Craig Hoffman on Twitter. He's all over the place today. Great job as always, bud. Thanks so much.
You got it, DA. Talk to you soon, pal.
Okay. Greg Hoffman joining us from 106.7 The Fan in D.C.